What's up, guys? JO3 here, back with another video. I'm bringing more energy because Jesus thinks I apparently whisper in my intros. So, we're going to be talking about my thoughts on the Dream SMP. You read the title, you saw the thumbnail. This isn't a bad video, spoiler alert. It's not a negative video for the most part. So, we're just going to, I got it split into 6 sections here. Each one will have a timestamp in the description, just to make it easier. If you want to see a specific part, I may combine two. After starting to record this, because they're pretty small, being the Tommy and Techno team up and the finale of L'Manberg. I might go ahead and just combine that into one section, because I'm just going to give my thoughts about each one. Anyways, let's go ahead and just get into the first part, Pogotopia versus Manberg. So the Pogotopia versus Manberg war is where I joined into sort of watching the Dream SMP, starting with the election, of course. It's where a lot of people started watching, so I'm not going to talk too much about what happened before then, because I didn't watch. That would just be, that wouldn't make sense. So I'm just going to go starting off here. My thoughts, honestly, this was the peak of the SMP for me in terms of storytelling. For the most part, there's other parts that were really good. I'm not saying this is the only good part of the SMP to me. I think overall, I think the pacing was a lot better. Nowadays, things happen almost every day, which isn't bad, per se, but it means it's way harder to follow if you're not watching every single day, or at least, like, every other day. So that's kind of, pushed me off from the Dream SMP a bit. I'm not following it as closely as I was. I still watch, like, Tommy usually, or Tubbo. I watch, like, the bigger ones who've been involved in the story the whole time, but I don't really have time to watch anyone else if they're streaming and things are happening nearly every single day. Now, with the Pogotopia and Manberg war, things were spaced out enough. Like, things would happen a few times a week, maybe 2-3 times a week, major things at least. People would be streaming every day. But, like, the bigger events that you would have to see to keep up with the story happened a couple times a week. And they're really big events, such as the, festival, the actual war at the end. Those were spaced out enough to where they felt way more impactful. And the streams, like, between them were hyping up those events. It made it a lot more, things feel a lot more important to me. So it worked a lot better than some of the later things. Obviously the finale was a big plus too. The actual war. Schlatt's death was weird but funny. Filza coming in was really cool. And of course it was never meant to be. Callback, with Wilbur. The end of Alive Burr's whole arc on the SMP for the time being. I thought it was a really good way to end the story and also, have a couple questions going into the next one. Techno obviously doing his thing, spawning withers. It sort of put everybody in a different position, or at least in made certain things just different. Tubbo was the president. How are they going to fix L'Manberg? Techno is kind of against L'Manberg, strictly because they have a government. And where does it leave Tommy? Where does it leave everyone else with Wilbur dead? Where would it leave people like Nikki? Where would it leave Filza, who just joined? It left a lot of questions that could be answered in Season 2, which I thought is an important thing for any season finale. So the next thing I'm going to be talking about is the Tommy Exiled arc, as I'm calling it, where Tommy was exiled from the Dream SMP, not just L'Manberg, the Dream SMP as a whole, and he would basically spend all his time with Dream and getting more and more depressed. I thought this was a really good follow-up to the Pogotopia versus Manberg war after they had repaired L'Manberg and everything, after the time in between. I thought this was a really good follow-up. It made you really sympathize with Tommy, which is kind of difficult, because it's Tommy, but it made you really hate Dream, and really, for most people, sympathize with Tommy if they're following the story and not just watching the bash it, or if they just don't understand, which is fair too. Storytelling, some people might never understand the story you're going for. I thought it was a really good follow-up though. It kind of made certain people who weren't really a part of the main story have to figure out other things, such as the Bloodlines plot, which I'll cover more at the end. I'm going to save that all for the end since that's kind of the main arc right now. Made people like Quackity have to find other things to do. Like, people who weren't super focused in on Tommy being exiled kind of had to figure out other things to do, which kind of led to different mini arcs coming up just to give people stuff to do, which is not always a bad thing, but it makes it harder to follow because Tommy was on every day. That was the start of the problem. Tommy would be on every day, so you want to follow his plot, but then there's everyone else who would get on sometimes every day, sometimes every other day, and do their plots, which you'd also try to want to follow if you would. I only followed the Tommy Exiled arc for the most part, I should say. And yeah, I mean, it was a good arc itself. the ending where he would find Techno's place canonically, not the non-canonical one, which is funny. The one non-canonical time he went there was a good way of him finally coming up to, and deciding to run away from his encampment that he was forced to live in. Really good ending to that, and transition into the next part of the story. So next we're moving into Tommy and Techno's team up and the finale of L'Manberg and the story kind of as a whole. Tommy and Techno's team up was a very interesting way to take it. I thought that was really cool. Tommy teaming up to get his disc back and take on Dream, while Techno has a semi-common goal. Kinda. He also wants to destroy L'Manberg, which doesn't tell Tommy until later. But other than that, they kind of have a semi-common goal to take down Dream. And Tommy wants his disc back and as part of that as well. So, it makes sense for them to team up until, of course, they are, confronted in L'Manberg. And I will point out Techno when confronting Dream and helping Tommy was a nice moment, fair enough. Tommy's betrayal of Techno kind of soured the story a bit to me. It doesn't make it makes sense. L'Manberg, Tubbo, those are important to Tommy. I think the Tommy line of the disc are more important than Tubbo ever was. I don't think that was meant to be said. It was just kind of a moment thing, because it doesn't make much sense of what he did afterwards. So yeah, I think Tommy going back to the status quo kind of soured that moment for me. But Techno and Dream destroying L'Manberg was fun. That was a fun fight there. We always knew it was going to happen. We always knew that was going to be the end of L'Manberg too. So anyway, I think that it was fitting to finally end L'Manberg. It was kind of just getting in the way of the plot developing any further. Things needed to be changed up. They needed to change up the status quo after going straight back to it with Tommy, reuniting with Tubbo. So they had to change it somehow, and that was a good way to do it, in my opinion. So next we're moving into the second biggest peak for me in the Dream SMP story. Dream versus Tommy and Tubbo. That whole stream was, they really built it up that either Tommy or Tubbo or both were going to die. I'm not shocked either didn't, die. I was fully expecting Tommy to die out of the two, because that would give Tubbo a complete change in character. Either one would have changed the other's character completely. I don't think Tubbo is actually going to die. I really like the way the finale, they made Dream seem impossible to kill, and Tommy got his stuff in the end, which was a great, sort of callback and culmination to that story. Tommy and Tubbo got the disc back. Everyone turned against Dream. Dream got locked up. It was overall a really good, second peak and end of Season 2. A really good way to end it, in my opinion. So, yeah, I think it pretty much closed the door on that entire storyline. The disc storyline that had been going on since basically the beginning of the Dream SMP. That was the first thing that caused really conflict on the server. So, it makes sense, storyline-wise, to finally end it after almost a year. Probably something you should do. But, I think it was a good culmination. The one problem, since then the Dream SMP's kinda fallen down, apart a little bit in terms of story, and I'll get to that in the final section. I'll explain what I mean, but nothing's felt as impactful since this moment. So now we arrive at the modern SMP. What has happened to the Dream SMP right now? Basically, I'll explain what I meant first. Nothing's felt as impactful since the finale against Dream for Season 2. It feels like, honestly, there's so many just small subplots, but there's not a main plot right now. Like, the Bloodvines, only half the people are really focused on that. And then there's, Jack Manifold and Nikki's team up, which kind of makes sense, because everybody hates Tommy and they want him dead. But also, it kind of came out of nowhere when it first happened. Nikki's sort of heel turn, if we're speaking wrestling terms. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense that she wasn't really doing anything before then. That's the whole point of it, but still, there needs to be some build to something like that. I know her and Fundy were planning on doing something at one point back in Season 2, it just kind of never happened. I know she's kind of started things that never really went anywhere, but there needs to be build to something like that, and Jack Manifold just hates Tommy. I mean, that one kind of makes more sense, to be honest. He wasn't really, his character didn't change that much, besides he was allied with Nikki. So that one makes sense. The whole nuke thing was kind of funny, and them trying to kill Tommy with the nuke was okay. That was a solid stream. It didn't feel as important as some previous like finales, although I don't think it was meant to be a finale, so fair enough. But it is the closest thing to like a big stream they've really had to me. Once again, I didn't follow the Bloodlines plot very much at the beginning, and right now it feels like they're trying to make it the main plot, but if they're gonna do that, they need to get their bigger characters more involved in it. Tommy needs to be more involved in it. Right now he's just doing the big in it hotel thing. Tubbo should probably be a bit more involved. Right now he's focused on Snowchester and nukes, which is okay too, I guess. Rambo, who arguably is the second or third biggest character behind Tommy and maybe Tubbo, which is why I said second or third. So, you know, they need to be more involved in it, which Rambo kind of is now, which is good. Once again, I don't follow it super closely, so if I miss something, you know, fair enough. But I just feel like things don't feel as important as they used to be. And it feels like there's kind of not a super huge storyline, but they're trying to make it the Bloodlines plot. They're trying to make that the next big thing. The other things that could be, and could maybe help the resurrection of Wilbur, which people think is going to happen, if it does, that'd be really cool. I would be interested to see how that goes. Dream escaping prison could be something they could do. I don't think they're going to do it right now, since Dream doesn't stream on the Dream SMP anyways. It's not like he's not doing anything there, and it'd be interesting to see other people visit him. You never know. But I think, for the time being, the Dream SP is in an okay place. It's definitely past its peak right now. Could it peak again? Yes. It always can. As we saw with Dream versus Tommy and Tubbo, it can still get to those heights again. But for the time being, it's in an okay spot, but there needs to be sort of a bigger overarching story that kind of keep it in like a good, what's the word? I guess just keep it as impactful as it has been through the fall last year and winter, as we transition more and closer to spring this year. And something big needs to happen. I know they're going to reset it when the cave update drops, or at least we've talked about it, so they need something to finish off the first Dream SMP, which is what I'm assuming the Bloodlines will do. But it needs to be focused on and put in the limelight a lot more. But anyways, that's all I gotta say about the Dream SMP right now. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe. If you like the Dream SMP, you can check out the Enderfalls SMP or the JO3 SMP. Enderfalls is a Bedrock server, story-based, but also full survival, so it's a bit different, and obviously on a smaller scale. The JO3 SMP is something I'm working on at the time of recording. I'm still working on getting new people in. The application Google form is in the description if you want to apply and you're a streamer or content creator. It's going to be kind of more like the Dream SMP, Java, story-based, and should be a lot of fun. So far, I have a lot of cool people on there. So if you're interested in joining, like I said, if you're a streamer, content creator, or whatever, feel free to apply. I'll check it out, and maybe we'll bring you on for Season 1. Anyways, I'm going to get out of here and not waste any more of your time. Catch you guys in the next video.